I am recording it with my video camera so I can post it later so you can see it.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, fun.
That's really fun. Wow, we're all kinds of doing it today. And then, okay, so I can take this, copy this, go here, to this. If you guys are tuning into the Facebook Live, if you can hear us, which I hope you can, we are going to go live in about 4 minutes. We're going to be live on Spreaker.com, and over on iHeartRadio.com, and we will be doing the Facebook Live, so you should be able to hear us and anybody that calls in, and Terrence, who's on the line with us too. So just kind of stick around. This is the behind-the-scenes moment as we prepare to go live. So, okay.
My wife just walked in the room, so she's here too. Mrs. Baker's here.
Hello, Deidre. How you doing?
Hi.
It is the Pink Hammer herself.
Yes.
Is in the room. That's awesome. All right. So here.
One moment.
What happened? Okay. We have a little meltdown. So.
Hey, Josh. Say hi to Josh.
Hey, Josh. Can we be? There we go. And I'm going to go back to here. There we go. This would be interesting for me because I'd be typing and doing things at the same time, which is a lot of fun. Okay, so the live is now on the event page. So that's awesome. Here. All right, we got 3 minutes, guys, until we're going live on the radio hour, and which will be also live on the Facebook feed. So that should be pretty cool. Okay. Okay, we're checking. Oop, somebody getting feedback from the audio from somewhere. Everything sounds good other than that. Okay. Oh. Okay, great. Yeah, this is the first time, Aaron, this is the first time we are doing anything like this. We're doing a Facebook Live webcast at the same time as our audio radio hour show live. So this is kind of the first time we've blended all of these things together, and we're hoping it works out. So fingers are crossed. We have 1 minute, guys. She's giving me the 1 minute warning, so in 1 minute we're going to go live everywhere with our discussion group. And so, okay. So, let's be out here. Oh, hey, Christian. Okay. So, what's that? Why am I hearing me twice? No, I'm not. Okay. Okay. Dina, time-wise, how are we doing? Okay. All right, everybody, we are getting ready to go live, and I will keep an eye on the chat feed. So anybody that wants to throw a question to Terrence or us in the studio here, please feel free to type it in. If you're in the chat feed and you want to join the conversation, we have a Skype link that as soon as we get Sage back at her station, she will share with the chat so everybody can just kind of dial into Skype, and we have the rules set up on the page with a link on the event page, so check that out. Okay, so Dina, at your leisure, we belong to you. We're going to ask everybody for 5 seconds of dead silence to make sure that if we need to edit it all, we can find any background noise or hiss or anything like that. So, okay, Dina, we're on your.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Please do not change channel.
From Krypton Radio, brought to you by Famous Faces and Funnies and Off the Chain with Yvonne Mason, it's the Hanging with Web Show Radio Hour, the Internet's premier pop culture talk radio show. You're tuned in, you're logged on, and now your hosts, G.W. Palmager and Christian Mazel. Who you hanging with?
All right, hello World Wide Web. Welcome to the Hanging with Web Show's Radio Hour special. We are on the air with the ICC Independent Creator Connection and ICC Magazine's founder and Terrence Baker. And this show is all about independent creators and the work that they're doing and the community that they're forming. We're really excited to be here on this Saturday. We're doing something really, really exciting. Right now, as you're listening to this out there on Spreaker or iTunes or iHeartRadio or wherever you're getting this live webcast from, we are on the line with Terrence Baker, but we are also doing this via Facebook Live, and so who knows what problems can arise. This can be all kinds of fun. So Terrence, first of all, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here with you guys again.
We are excited to have you on again, man. Normally we just get to sit and talk for about 10 minutes, and then they rush us both in opposite directions so we can go work. So it'll be fun to just chat for a little bit, man. What brought the show on, what really fostered this special for Saturday special was the fact that you had just had so much success with ICC Magazine's Kickstarter campaign. And as ICC Magazine has grown. So let's talk a little bit about that to start out with. Tell us about ICC Magazine, where the inspiration for this came, and where you guys have progressed to date.
Well, we're actually fortunate because we actually have the chief editor of the magazine here as well, Ms. Pam Harrison. She's online as well. And we just had a successful Kickstarter. Pam organized everything. And I want to thank her, first of all, before I thank everyone else, because she's the one that's done a tremendous amount of work. Bill McCormick, Winston Jordan, Jerry Lee, Charles, all those guys did a fantastic job. And I couldn't have done anything without them. So basically the magazine was funded through Kickstarter, and it will be going national. We are getting orders in, and it's actually happening. Other groups are seeing what we're doing, and they're actually trying to come on board with us, and it's a great thing. It's a blessing. I can say that initially.
No, it's very, very true. You guys have worked really, really hard and built a great independent creator community for folks who are either just starting out in the creative arts or people who have been well established for a long period of time. And the magazine gives you a chance to highlight all of those things. So tell us a little bit, how is the magazine formatted, and what are your goals with the magazine?
Well, it's formatted basically in the regular like InDesign format. Pam will be the actual person that can give you those specific details. But our ultimate goal is we want to showcase the independents for all they're worth. Back in the day, you had the Wizard magazine that showcased a lot of the mainstream comics. But our magazine caters to the smaller guys, the independent guys. We've got everything from writers to publishers to artists to colorists, 3D, 2D, you name it, and even cosplayers. It's a magazine that caters to a lot of people who are trying to, break in otherwise and don't have anything or voice. So it's a voice for the independent creators, in a nutshell.
And that is one of the things that we need so much of right now. We want to welcome some great independent artists to the chat feed over on Facebook Live. We want to welcome the one and only Josh Bauer, who is here, JB Art, and we also want to welcome our good friend Marcus who's in the room right now, Marcus Roberts. And we thank you guys for being with us in the chat right now. If you have any questions, please make sure you drop them into the chat feed, and we'll make sure that we ask Terrence about them. Now, your editor-in-chief, you said, is online right now. Is she in the chat, or does she want to join the Skype call? Or, we can bring her on whenever she's ready.
I'm actually talking to her through Messenger. She says she actually can't join at the moment, so I assume she might be at work or listening. But that's okay, because I told her I'm recording the video, so she'll be able to see it once I post the video.
That's okay. We understand. That is the great thing about the independent artist community. One of the great things is, we all have some kind of a day job.
Exactly.
Because it is a struggle when you start as an independent artist, and that's why things like the magazine are so important. Wait a minute. We're gonna welcome Deetria Baker to the chat.
Yes, Mrs. Baker is here too.
Hello.
That's right. We're excited about today's conversation, and we're really excited to congratulate our good friend Terrence Baker at ICC Magazine for a phenomenal Kickstarter. Over more than 60 backers, raising almost $3,000 for an independent magazine project, and that is, a lot of people on Kickstarter will know about those big celebrity-driven projects, the ones that raise millions of dollars. But to raise the amount of money that you need to publish and get a magazine out the door to a national audience on Kickstarter for an independent group is just a fantastic success story. Anyone who's tried to fund a project knows that.
That's true. So true.
It is. Now, Terrence, you're an independent artist in your own right. You are a sequential art artist. And so tell us a little bit about your career and your journey up to ICC Magazine, and how this all came about, how you got interested in the independent arts community.
My story is so simple, it's almost pathetic. But I'm that guy that always loved to draw as a kid. I think from the first time I picked up a pencil at age 4, 5, and was able to do my first stick figure, I was hooked. And ever since then, I just gravitated to that, that medium, that art world. I think when I read my first comic book, I was I'm probably in the 4th grade, and I didn't even read it then. I just looked at the pictures, and I was, instantly drawn towards sequential art, which is storytelling in a 2D format. And
I want to point out real quick for everybody out there who's listening on the radio, some of us are doing 2 things that Terrence mentioned that he was doing very early on. Number 1, I'm still looking at the pictures, sometimes before I read it. And number 2, I'm still drawing stick figures because that's as far as I was able to advance. So, Terrence, you're doing remarkable things. You're also the founder of the ICC on Facebook, the ICC community on the web, which is the Independent Creators Connection. And what made you want to form a group or a community around your passion and what you love to do?
It's really interesting point, and it goes back to the old scenario that I was a member. I was personally a member of a lot of groups, back in the day when I first got on Facebook. And I saw a lot of things in groups that were, they were okay. Some interested me, some did not, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for. I would see like some static here and there, a lot of, arguments and blah, blah, blah. And then on the flip side, I see a lot of other great groups as well. But I said to myself one day, you know what? Why don't I just take a chance and try to create my own group and see if I can get a few like-minded individuals in there? And so I did. On May 23rd, 2013, I believe it was the day I created the group on Facebook, kind of like a last-minute thing, on a whim. I had 10 members the first week, 25 members the second week, mostly friends. Before I knew it, we had over 100 members. And then 6 months later, like 500 members. I was like, wow, this is amazing. There's a lot of people out there that like this as well. Give it about a year later, 1,000. And before I knew it, 2,000. And then, we start throwing our own conventions. We've had 3 conventions now as of today. And, this is leading up to ICC Magazine. And I'm proud to say that today we've got over 9,100 people in the group, and I still got a whole bunch of memberships to approve. So it has grown tremendously because there's a need. There is an absolute need for independents who want to have something like this, and it's obvious. It's growing.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Thank you so much. We are joined on the line. We have a caller in. And hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing great. It took me forever to get into the conversation, but I see I'm in here.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
my best. It's a Saturday afternoon.
Hey, Pam.
Hey guys. Hey Terrence.
Yeah. Well, introduce yourself to everybody and let everybody know who you are and what brought you in today.
Well, I'm Pam Harrison. I first got started in comics. Oh gosh. Well, I've been drawing since I could pick up a pencil, but I got my own claim to fame in 2007 with the House of the Muses historical fiction series, and later started a science fiction series called A Deviant Mind. And um, just last year, Terrence and crew were trying to figure out how to get some kind of a resource for independent artists, and they wanted to create a magazine. And they needed someone that knew what to do and how to set that up, and I kind of fell in there. And we started to collaborate and put ideas together. And right now we're going on 5 issues of ICC magazine, and we've been promoting independent artists from the onset. And I think things are getting better from here.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much, Pam. We're actually glad that you came on board because we've seen the magazine and we've seen it grow and we've seen how well it can serve the independent community. And you guys are just doing a great, great job.
Nobody out there is promoting independent artists like this magazine has.
Absolutely.
And I've been around a long time.
And it's a growing community. And I think what a lot of people miss a lot of the time is that the arts and entertainment community, the paradigm of arts and entertainment is shifting more and more. There's been a kind of a digital revolution that has allowed independent artists to share and distribute their work in a way that they never could before. And
Right.
as a result of that, there's a growing community that is, there that needs to be fostered and that needs to be shared. And what you're doing, Pam, and what Terrence has been doing is so important to that mission. Um, when you look around at the community, as you said, you've been an artist a long time. You've been around comics and the comic community for a long time. Um, what has that shift in the paradigm been like for you to be witness to and to be a part of now through ICC Magazine?
Well, I can give you a lot of examples. Being a historian, I can tell you that more than 100 years ago, independent artists were submitting written stories to the early science fiction magazines, and there was one particular artist that I'm very fond of who had submitted over and over and over to some of the local magazines, and finally in 1912 he sold the rights to his story to a magazine, and they published it. And I think everybody in 2018 knows exactly what Princess of Mars was all about.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've come full circle 100 years later. Now we have independent comic artists trying to put their stories out there and get their attention and make their place and find an audience and a venue where they can post their stories and have them seen and get widespread promotion, because in the mainstream industry that is nearly impossible. You have to be a really big shot to get on for Big Two, and most of the market is centric around the Big Two, so it's really, really difficult for independent artists to say, "Hey, can you promote my comic in your comic shop?"
Yeah.
And they're, well, we don't really sell comics unless they're like listed in Diamond Catalog, which I can tell you is very difficult.
Yeah. Now, I understand we were reading a little bit about ICC Magazine Online. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about that distribution and about how indie artists working with ICC Magazine are able to now let people know how they're there and how they're distributing. We have to take a commercial break real quick, and when we come back after the side, we're going to keep talking with Terrence Baker and Pam about ICC Magazine. So stay tuned in and stay logged on and see who we're hanging with next.
Excellent.
German, 1938. Girl, in the gorgeous city proper, and enamored by Charlotte's charm and grace when she wanders into its cobbler shop.
Did you get the link?
George
I did.
decides
Okay, make sure it's okay, good.
that he is going to marry her. Follow along as this unlikely couple struggles to stay one step
You need
ahead
to keep an
of
eye on the call-in
and their
over
dramatic
there.
scene
If anybody
about
else
Germany.
links in,
Good
let me
things
know. Okay.
always happen in springtime. From author Joanne Fisher on Amazon.com today. Faces and Funnies in Melbourne, Florida is leading the way in pop culture fun. From comic books and graphic novels to Funko Pops and collector's items, Famous Faces and Funnies has it all. Rick Shea and the professional team at Famous Faces and Funnies are friendly and knowledgeable. Whether you're looking for toys, props, collector treasures, or a new comic book, Famous Faces and Funnies is your one-stop shop. To find Famous Faces and Funnies on Facebook and Twitter, just type at FFF Comics.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hanging With Web Show Radio Hour special featuring ICC Magazine creators and independent creators of all kinds. On the other side of the break, we were talking a little bit about those distribution models and those things that are really hard for independent creators to get involved in. We want to congratulate our friends at ICC Magazine, which is being distributed, I understand, coming up by Diamond Comic Distributors.
Yay!
Yes. We understand now, for those of you who aren't familiar with comic distribution, etc., Diamond Comic Distributors was founded in 1982 and is the world's largest English distributor of comic and graphic novels and comic-related materials globally. So that's a pretty big deal to see our independent arts community breaking into that international distribution model and doing it through ICC Magazine. ICC Magazine, which features a lot of the work and articles about the artists, etc., in there. So, guys, that's a landmark victory for you guys, man. That is awesome. Congratulations. Talk a little bit about that and the journey toward, reaching that model. We'll start with Terrence, and then we'll go to Pam. So, Terrence, go ahead and talk a little bit about that.
It has not been easy. Trust me when I trust me when I say that.
It's great because here in the studio we're able to actually see Pam, and Pam is like, "Yeah, no, he's not lying."
Yeah. I saw Pam for a minute too on the live feed. And she's gonna probably elaborate more on that question. But I can tell you that initially, it takes a lot of work. It takes a special kind of person to. Okay, I see Marcus joined on too.
Yeah, Marcus joined the conversation. That's great, Marcus. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Awesome. All right, so Terrence said it was not easy. It's a difficult haul. Pam, you want to elaborate on that a little bit? I know you've been publishing a long time.
I got into the print industry in 1982, guys. Yeah, it is very difficult. We have worked, and I think, our independent or our private sectors, we have worked for a long time to get where we are, and this was kind of, I don't know how you call it. It was a kind of a conjunction of people putting their skill sets together. I've been publishing in print for 30 years. So I know what I'm doing. I know how to put a magazine together, and I know how to put articles online and da-da-da-da-da. So, we've got creative minds that know how to throw stuff together, and it somehow works.
That is fantastic, and when it all comes together, it's those rewarding moments that make it worthwhile. We're going to welcome Marcus to the show here. Marcus, go ahead and introduce yourself to our folks out there in Radio Land who maybe aren't watching the Facebook Live or aren't seeing the live. Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what brought you in today.
Hi, my name is Aaron Bahara, and I'm basically a first-time creator. I'm working on my book of Flags here currently. And it was really a project I've been working on for quite some time. So I just wanted to kind of introduce people to it, and I've worked with some really, really talented people on this book, and it's been so challenging.
Thank you.
I just wanted to share that.
No, thank you very much, Aaron. We're very, very happy that you joined in with us, and thank you for coming online and sharing what you're working on. We love to share independent creators. That's what the Hanging with Web show has been founded on. It's what we do. So thank you very much for joining the conversation, Aaron. We really appreciate it. Marcus, we were talking to you a little bit earlier. We have Marcus Roberts. You can find him on Facebook at Sword and Soul. At Sword and Soul. So, Marcus, introduce yourself and tell Radio Land who you are and what you do and what brought you on today.
Well, I'm Marcus Roberts. I'm also a member of ICC. I am a moderator at the ICC Anthologies portion, which we kind of focus more on the writers trying to get projects done. That was one of the things that drew me to ICC, because when I first got first joined the comic book community, I didn't know what to do. I needed some type of guidance, and there were hundreds of Facebook groups out there. But the difference was the ICC group was actually giving me instructions and connections with people who were trying to accomplish the same thing that I was. I've been in the group for probably 4 or 5 years now. I was one of those first few hundred that joined.
That is awesome. And, you know, we talk a lot on the show, and I know we've talked a lot with Terrence in the past and other independent creators through ICC. Building a community is so important as the independent arts community, group grows. And that sense of belonging. When you're an artist, a lot of times what you do is a solitary thing. You may be a part of a collaborative project, but you're part of it. The writing, the art, like you're a filmmaker, writing a script. Your portion of it is so solitary.
I gotta say this too. Marcus has been in. This is Terrence. Marcus has been in the group for 5 years, like he said, and we just met. What was it? Last month? Last weekend at and here's why we met at Daytona Con at the Independent Takeover. And Marcus and I live probably about 50 miles apart. And the thing is, we've been chatting, IMing and messaging emails here and there. And I missed him at MegaCon back in March this year, and at ICC Con, I didn't get a chance to see him there. So I've known Marcus for 5 years, but I just met him last weekend. So I had to say that real quick.
No, that is fantastic. Those are the stories. We were chatting with somebody at MegaCon Tampa Bay just this past couple months, and we were talking about how the internet has shifted the professional paradigm that we all work in, and how we get to know each other sometimes digitally way before we actually meet face to face.
And this is so true.